First thing first, I have been on a journey for the last, I would say, 7 years on rediscovering myself, on healing past traumas, on just trying to figure out why I was angry, why was I leaning onto alcohol at the time and becoming so angry. And it led me, of course, to therapy and having to work some things out. One thing I learned that I didn't know was, that's my dog. Milo, stop. One thing I learned from that original experience is how emigrating to the US affected me a lot more than I thought it did. I just thought I was 6 years old, I came to a new country, I learned a new language, and I fit in just fine, and it was all dandy. But as a 6-year-old, going to a new country where you don't speak the language, where your single mom works at night, where you're doing a lot of things independently, has a different effect on you. And also the fact that I wasn't raised with a father also has an effect on you. All in all, I'm trying to say is I started this journey around 7 years ago. Then I started getting into more meditation, affirmations, and I strongly believe we are made of energy. And maybe you think law of attraction is woo-woo, positive thinking, but for me, it's about how God created this universe and, about us being grateful. There's different things that can occur and doors can open when we get out of our own way. So I started that path and, there's been peaks and very low lows. Within that, I was also diagnosed with depression. I was diagnosed with obsessive compulsive OCD, and a few other things. So I did end up going on meds, so Prozac, fluoxetine at the time, but fluoxetine really cuts down the libido. So they also put me on buprenorphine, which is anxiety meds. Okay, pause. I'm no doctor. I'm not suggesting anyone goes on these meds. This is not a video about meds. This is a video about my journey on how we got here and being diagnosed at the age of 46 and why didn't I think of this earlier, okay? So I did the medication for a few years. I had some depressive episodes in the past. And then, COVID happened and I really didn't like the psychiatrist I was seeing online. So then I kind of just stopped taking the meds and I've been on this journey. I've been meditating. There's ups and downs, like I said. But recently, 1 year ago, I started doing therapy with an online therapist who lives in Austria. And actually we just met for the first time in Brazil, which was just so cool that we're both in the same city in Brazil and we were able to hug each other and see each other in person. So she did bring up to me and asked me if I had ADHD. And I was like, I don't know, and then she said, well, if you do, you've always had it. You've had it as a kid. Did you have problems focusing as a child? And I was like, no, I always got good grades. So we kind of put that in the back burner. Then it came up again once and I had the same reply. So let's go back to last fall. Last fall, I just got into this really low depression, couldn't get out of it. Nothing was helping me bounce back. I had such a great 2023 as far as trips, press trips, collaborations. And then 2024, things got wonky. Things were a little wonky at work. I really had to work extra hard and my day job is so important to me and I love what I do and my son's in college. So things got a little wonky. So I decided in January that it was time to see a psychiatrist and maybe it was time to get back on meds. So in my first session, she had a lot of questions and I was telling her how I was having a really difficult time with just simple things like laundry and everything just felt like a mountain. Everything was feeling just so big and hard to do. And she asked me, are you having trouble finishing projects? And I said, yes. And I said, hey, in the past I've been diagnosed with depression and also, obsessive compulsive, whatever. And she's like, yeah, I don't think you have that second part, but I think it may be something else. Then it piqued my interest because I had no idea what she was gonna say at the end. So then we continued our conversation and it was actually very refreshing that she wasn't just asking a couple questions and was like, here you go, here are the meds. She really asked a lot of questions and dove in. So at the end, she said, hey, I think you have ADHD based on the replies to the questions I asked, and the fact how you twirl your hair. Now, I was never a fidgety person, but hair twirling, I could do this for 8 hours a day, and I've always done it ever since I was a kid. Funny enough, when my mom was pregnant with me, my uncle used to do it, and she hated it. So I will, like, if I'm anxious, I will twirl my hair, but then twirl my hair again and again and again. Now, I'm not saying that if you twirl your hair, maybe you have this, but she sent the test in order to do the test. Now, when she said this, and I let my therapist know, my therapist asked me, how did that make you feel? And it made me feel a little relief, like, wow, things are making sense. Maybe that's why I can't focus on, if I'm texting someone and someone's talking, I can't pay attention. That is why many times when the kids were younger, like, I couldn't handle 2 things at a time, or I felt like I was running away from basic duties. Things just started making sense. Now, I did procrastinate taking the test for like almost 4 weeks. I told my therapist I was gonna do it. I took the test, I sent it over to the psychiatrist. I had my second appointment, which she was 20 minutes late for, and that was annoying. And then turns out she said, you do have ADHD. And it did feel like a weight was lifted off my shoulder, like, oh, it's just like I carry, or used to carry, just a lot of like mom guilt, not feeling enough. And that's just based on past trauma and other things. And I remember having a hard time like focusing with my kids when they were younger, like paying attention to what they were doing, because I was trying to build my business so much. And I have a lot of guilt around that. But I'm not saying this as an excuse, as like, oh, it was okay that I did that. All I'm saying is that this is making sense. There's something up here not functioning properly where I could not be my best self. So now we have to move forward. Now we have to look forward and see, okay, what's next? What do I do? So she prescribed me Stratella, but there's a generic name for it because she says that one doesn't have basically speed or the inhibitor thing. And she said it's good for women my age, especially since, I am 46, and for us to test it out. Now, and she asked me, do I want to take the meds? And I was like, absolutely. Like, I need to know. I need to test. Like, I need to see if this is going to make a difference in my life or not. Pause here again. I'm not saying that this is the path for you. There's so much information now, holistic approaches, what you can do. I've always been a big list person. But where I am in my life right now, I wanted to test out the meds to really see if it would make a difference. So what happened though, I got the meds and then I had to travel somewhere for work where it was 3 hours behind, time zone changes. So I tested it for 1 day. And the first day I took it, it seemed like the world opened up and it went like I suddenly was aware of so many things. Now, a good friend actually shared a chart with me for me to keep track of how I'm feeling, irritability. It's like an Excel doc. It's pretty cool. I haven't really done it because with all my travel, it's been hard. Now, one thing I did notice is that taking the 3 meds together, even though the psychiatrist said that it was fine, it was a little much for me. I was dizzy on the first day, but it could have also been because I didn't eat properly, because you need to really hydrate and eat properly. Again, I'm not a doctor. This is not medical advice. I'm just sharing my journey, and please consult a psychiatrist. Please consult your doctor or therapist. Also, hormone testing is so important because that's the other thing my therapist and I always talked about. Like, it might be hormones that are affecting and causing these mood swings. So I did notice that taking the 3 meds, I wasn't really feeling that. So I have my upcoming session with her where we're going to discuss this a little bit more. And I decided really just to stick to the fluoxetine and the Stratella, which is the ADHD medicine. And I have liked it a lot. Now, I am having issues sleeping. Well, waking up early and my sleep schedule. But I honestly don't know if it's because of all the travel I've done since January with the different time zones. I just got back from Brazil, been doing back-to-back events. So I haven't been home enough with the meds to really see that, oh, the meds might be affecting my sleep. And if it is, honestly, right now, I feel like it's worth it. So I'm excited for my next session. And, I have a lot more learning to do. I have to learn like different ways to cope. I have to learn, what does this mean moving forward in my life? And funny enough, as soon as I told my husband, his reaction was, oh, everyone now has that, which I was kind of a little disappointed, because here I was feeling so just, like relieved. Oh my God, this explains so much, The other thing I also thought of was, why didn't I feel like I had this as a kid? And honestly, I think I know the answer. It's because as a kid, we did not have this. This has caused so many new types of notifications, distractions. Like if you take a study and you see how many things we were exposed to in the 80s versus now, you will see a huge difference. And I think these symptoms really didn't come out because it was easier to go to school, come home, watch TV, which I watched a lot of TV, and I got good grades. So it really didn't affect me at school that much. And later when I became a mom back to back, I just thought it was life. We went through some financial struggles. Like it was always like something happening, and I didn't really take the time enough to look inward and say, hey, maybe something's not right in here. But overall, I'm very happy right now. I feel like things are falling into place for me. And yes, it's a test. Yes, it's still very new, but I want to keep you guys updated. I want to keep you informed. Like I said, I also did hormone testing, and sadly, the results really shocked me, but you're going to have to wait for the next video where I'm going to talk about that. So, are you a mom? Have you been diagnosed with ADHD? Is it AD? I always get it confused. Do you have any tips for me on how you can naturally cope? Do you have any tips on what has your journey been like? What was eye-opening about your journey? What can you share in positive? And please, I want this to be a positive thing, not a negative thing. So if you don't have something nice to say, you could just go. And yeah, it just seems like things are now making so much sense, and I'm just feeling grateful because honestly, it's never too late. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more of my travels that I just did to Brazil, and special announcements coming soon about my first women's trip, which is going to be Light Your Fuse with Fuse in Brazil.